Hello. Looks like Zai. Hello, Kathy. Hello, B. Oops, somebody said hey. Ooh, a bunch of people just said hey. Kraus, welcome. Hello, Alex Davis, welcome. How are things in Pisgah? Hello. Abby, welcome. Daniela, hi. Priest, welcome. Ooh, you remember me. Yes, of course I do. My North Carolina people. Sultan, how are you? Kraus, you're working on an edit. Multi, welcome. Faye, hi. Danielle, I had a really good day. Thank you. I hope you did as well. SEF, you have arrived. How are things in your part of New England? Hello from Scotland. Yes. Max, welcome. You like the green? Thank you. Pony Boy, thank you. Multi, love it. Beatable, howdy. Kathy, running over patients with food carts. You're like a terror in the hallways. Hello, Sonic. Uh-oh. SEF, you're sick. What are you sick from? Hey, Kate. They're in your way. Get out of the way. Kathy's coming through. Pony, you got me something. Is it the postcard? Somebody just finished. Abby, you just finished watching any tips for booking a trip to Las Vegas? Sure. When are you going to Vegas, Abby? How did my account, how did you get your account back? Sonic. I talked to our owners and I was able to get everything pulled back together, but I had to agree not to show any skin. And I can't reply in a way that it's full of innuendo. Either August or September. Okay, Abby, first, you're actually going to Vegas over a great period of time from a price point standpoint. It's going to be miserably hot. Miserably hot. Don't try to do all of Vegas. Pick one place, maybe two, and go. Let that be it. It can be overwhelming. And the nicer the hotel, the nicer the experience. If you try to stay someplace that isn't quite nice, it's not going to be a good one. Hey, Miguel, welcome. Multi, thank you. The edit is posted. Alan, how are you? Pony, thank you for coming. Amanda King, you're on your Wi-Fi. Well, very good. I'm proud of you. Thank you for the heart puff, Multi. Ooh, someone named Mountain Dew. That's cool. Last day's tomorrow. Yay. Somebody said Hiltons are beatable. Hiltons are always great, pricey, but the stay is great. Yes, I used to actually, I worked for Hilton for a while. Today is sassy. Sonic, your Love Islanders. Sonic, and you're going to have to leave early too, aren't you, Sonic, because of your show and your friend. Amanda King, how are you? Jane, I miss being here very much. I'm glad I'm back. It's terrible. Chloe, I'm saying hi to Addie. Shay, thank you for sharing the live. Sonic, I'm pretty happy too. It's about Abbott Elementary. It's worth watching. Okay, let's see. Volume up. Know that it ain't real. Awesome. Thank you, Kraus. It's awesome. Okay, all right, here we go. I eat fish foods. Hi, my favorite Asterian. All right, I need to be brought into the loop on this Asterian thing because I keep getting DMs about doing cosplay, some character from something. I need to check into this. Tell me what it's about. Yes, I had chicken and rice for dinner. Thank you, Sonic. Wait, and yep, I had chicken and rice today. Yeah, Baldur's Gate. That's it, Kathy. It's the game from Baldur's Gate. I keep getting messages about this. I have to look it up. Vaughn, hi. You made a milkshake. Nice. SEF, you don't know this either? Asterian is a vampire. Oh, that's cool. I could be a vampire. Kathy, you'll show me later. All right. Twins. Elad, how are you? Is it Elad? Is that the correct pronunciation? Dre, hi. I'm too sweet to be a vampire. I've come to suck your blood. Dracula, Andy. Yes, girl, pop up. Don't give me ideas. Dandy Andy. Multi, I have been called that my entire life. Bianca, my new profile picture was created by SEF, who is here with us. He's amazing. It is awesome. It is absolutely awesome, and he did it all. See, there he is. Ah, hello. Let's see. Also, my pronouns are she, her. Probably. Okay, I'm sorry, SEF. I apologize. I'm usually quite attentive to that, and I wasn't. How many miles should you run? Go back to 20. Chat fridge tour. Chat fridge tour. Ashley. A tour of my refrigerator. I'm trying to think. A tour of my refrigerator would be super boring because in that refrigerator is apple juice, milk, cottage cheese, and cheese. Oh, and chicken. There's a couple of rotisserie chickens in there. That's it. Oh, so you just know that? Yeah, I pretty much know everything is in there because I put it in there. Megan, I missed them too. Uh-oh, somebody's got the cat version of Bixby. Ooh, multi, I'm sorry. So may not have run 23 today. So maybe just run 10 tomorrow. Yes, Kraus, 10 tomorrow. Do that. Yes. If you ran 23 today, yes. You ran a marathon today. You actually should not run at all tomorrow, to be quite frank with you. Val, my hair is jacked up tonight, actually. I've had to spray it down twice because it just keeps getting bigger. It was like this big earlier, like up to here. Sonic, I remember when I didn't go live at all. Evian, my hair actually started going gray when I was 20. Early. Yes, Kathy, you did arms today. If you carried that many trays. Today was legs day for me. Kraus, you remember that too. Kraus has been around since the very beginning, like day one. Abby, you ran 7 today? Awesome. I ran, I think it was 9. I ran 9 today. Hello, pistachio guy. Pistachio guy. Pistachio guy. I'm deadly allergic to you. I can't eat pistachios. You're watching the live and streaming Twitch at the same time. Kathy, I really like that idea. Yeah, pistachio guy. Like, it would kill me in an instant. Not in an instant. Tristan, hello. When I just ran a poem on Friday. Yeah, weren't those the days? Now I do it for breakfast. Bianca, small cardio today. Well, today I ran 9 miles and I ran right to the gym. Like I ended my run at the gym and did legs because my legs were hurting and I knew if I didn't do them right then, I wouldn't do them. So I did them. I know. Kind of got the pistachio shirt going on. It's as close as I can get to that. Multi. Yes. You thought you were going to keep me underground. Jane, your boyfriend's sitting next time you... Okay. How do I deal with haters? I tend to clap right back. I don't know that that's the right thing to do, but I do. Hello, kitty lover. Well, that is pleasant. I'm so glad for you, and thank you for sharing. Yep, clock it. Just like that. Yes, Kathy, you did. You clapped right back at work. Oh, hello. Well, congratulations. Better watch out for Cart Kathy, absolutely. That's right. I do not lose a game of chicken. Do not take me on. I do not lose. Everyone, that's Sonic. You overdid legs at the gym. Calves are so sore. I can relate to that. Thank you, Multi. That would be awesome. Hello, Kitty Lover is hiding from responsibilities. I'm impressed. Thank you. What cracks me up is the number of people that come to these lives and admit publicly that they are at work. Like, we are at work. Tells me so much. Sonic, one time your legs gave out at the gym, and oh wow, that's a lot. Viva la Sarah in the house, or I'm at the house. Congratulations. Welcome to my house. Drew, hi. Sonic, you were so embarrassed you just laid there. I can understand that. Hello. Oh, you're at Dunkin'. You close in 45 minutes. Okay, that's good. SEF, you're never at work. Aw. I love Dunkin' too, pistachio guy. Multi, you're eating chicken McNugget. Yes, at 3 a.m. It's amazing. Y'all, I don't know if I told you this or not. Speaking of chicken nuggets, my grandmother, she'll be 104 next month. And you heard that correct. She will be 104 next month. For her 100th birthday, what she wanted more than anything, chicken McNuggets and a Diet Coke. That's what she ate. So I don't want anybody telling me that McDonald's is bad for you. Oh, Jude, she is. She is. Eat it up, Granny. Did you get 100 chicken nuggets at least? I don't know how many she ate. She ended up eating chicken McNuggets and macaroni and cheese. Somebody brought like macaroni and cheese, and she ate that too. Lori, welcome. Lori in the house. Y'all, Lori just hit a huge milestone. Send big congratulations to Lori. The race chick. Hey. Yep, Kraus, that's it. Congrats, Lori. You'll get there. Nope, Drew, you haven't missed story time yet. I'll start reading at about 10:30. Boogie on the dance floor. Kraus. Multi. So 3:30. Yes. That's when I'll start reading. Thank you, Beatable. It's contagious. It's like the contagion, some viral thing. It's just a smile. Imra, how am I doing? I'm doing quite well, to be very honest. Killer Queen, welcome. So contagious. Multi, these shirts, they are super comfortable. They are super comfortable. Imra, thank you. It was actually quite a nice day. Multi, that makes me happy that you're smiling. Life is just better with a smile. Kraus, it was raining here. Oh, did you go run in it? Ami, my favorite band is U2. Kathy, you died 1,000 times on your game. That's impressive. I still like you running people down with your cart more. SCF. Trying to make me laugh. Coconut. Was I at the beach? Did I get tan? No, this is a moment of admission. So, I was in New York, and I had 4 hours between a breakfast appointment and a dinner appointment where I could have done absolutely anything I wanted. Anything. I was in New York. I could have done anything. I went to the pool and laid out. I live by the beach. I go to New York City, and I lay out by the pool. That's what I did for fun. Sonic, you're listening to us like a podcast. It's good. Hey, the pool was valid. It was a great option. It was a beautiful day, and they brought me lunch on a little tray and set it next to me on my lounge chair. I didn't even have to get up. I just rolled over and ate my cheeseburger and then rolled my happy ass back and fell asleep. My favorite movie is Bull Durham. 6 Dig Chad. Have a great night. Sleep well. Multi, there's Multi, you're in Australia. There is like killer animals everywhere. Where you're like surrounded by things that would kill you instantly. I would not get in the water there either. Coconut, the tan is sitting. Well, yes, it is. It has attached itself to me. The tan line's pretty amazing at this point, I will tell you that. It's actually almost embarrassing. TV Vog. Loosey Goosey, where am I from? I currently live in New England. I'm originally from North Carolina. Do I play any games? No, I don't. We're like being lazy by the pool. Beatable, that sounds like a great vacation. So you're in Peru, cheesecake. I love that. In Italy, Francesco, welcome. I love it. What part of Italy? Happy Friday the 13th. Did we celebrate? Actually, y'all, Friday the 13th has traditionally been one of the luckiest days of my life. Always is. I know all the folklore and all whatever, but Friday the 13th has always seemed to kind of work for me. You went to Armenia for, Multi, that's lovely. That's why you go to an adult-only resort. So peaceful, no screaming, no passion. True. So it is basically my day, Friday the 13th, Andy's day. It is such a fun day. There was a movie that came out in the late 80s that was so terrible. Like you never see it at all, but look it up, see if you can find it, called Saturday the 14th. It actually it's so bad, it's good and freaking hilarious. I'd take an Andy holiday. Ooh, James jumping out here with the eggplant emoji. Don't know who he's trying to describe. Jocelyn, hi. See if you can find it. Oh, Krause, have you seen it? You've seen Saturday the 14th? It is tragically good. Jocelyn, you failed your math class? I'm sorry. Do you get to do like summer school or something? You're triggered over a movie release date. What? Which movie? It's yes, it's a ripoff. It's a comedy version of a Friday the 13th movie. It's hilarious. It's freaking hilarious. No summer school, though. Got it. Coconuts, if you must. You failed math class 5 times. I don't think I failed anything 5 times. I did fail psychology 3 times. Yeah, 3 times. Thank you, James. Thank you, James. It might happen later. So, funny horror movies I can handle. Like a regular, just plain old horror movies I don't like. Funny horror movies I can handle. Saturday the 14th has a sequel? No. No. I have to find it. Yes, I will see you in a comedy horror movie. Kathy, absolutely. Yes, you just searched it. I've got to find it. I have to do this. Priest, you got to go to sleep. It's 5:30 in the morning for you. Yes, you should go to sleep because the sun's going to rise. And then you lose your vampire status. Good night, Priest. Sleep well. Or Priest, you can I'm getting ready to start reading, and I know that my voice actually does put people to sleep. So if you just want to listen, feel free, because I'm going to start reading in about 3 minutes. It's called Saturday the 14th Strikes Back. Y'all, now, like, I'm obsessed. I'm going to have to do this. My pet bird. Oh, B, I'm sorry. I do have to watch it now, Megan. I absolutely do. I remember that. I remember the night that you fell asleep. But it's easy to do. I literally do put people to sleep with my voice. You know, Killer Queen, instead of Sunday the 15th, it could have just been Thursday the 12th. Or Wednesday the 11th. But that would have been a prequel. It could have been the next year. Touche. Boom. Upcoming horror movies. I won't direct them. I would help write them. Absolutely. All right. It is 10:30. Means it is time for everyone to get settled in and get comfortable. We are getting into the more emotional chapters of this book. So keep each other comfortable. Play nice. Moderators, do your thing if needed. Chapter 16. Off to the fair. The night before the county fair, everybody went to bed early. Fern and Avery were in bed by 8. Avery lay dreaming that the Ferris wheel had stopped and that he was stuck at the top car. Fern lay dreaming that she was getting sick in the swings. Lurvy was in bed by 8:30. He lay dreaming that he was throwing baseballs at a cloth cat and winning a genuine Navajo blanket. Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerman were in bed by 9. Mrs. Zuckerman lay dreaming about a deep freeze unit. Mr. Zuckerman lay dreaming about Wilbur. He dreamt that Wilbur had grown until he was 116 feet long and 92 feet high, and that he had won all the prizes at the fair and was covered with blue ribbons, and even had a blue ribbon tied to the end of his tail. Down in the barn cellar, the animals, too, went to sleep early, all except Charlott. Tomorrow would be fair day. Every creature planned to get up early to see Wilbur off on his great adventure. When morning came, everybody got up at daylight. The day was hot. Up the road at the Arable's house, Fern lugged a pail of hot water to her room and took a sponge bath. Then she put on her prettiest dress because she knew she would see boys at the fair. Mrs. Arable scrubbed the back of Avery's neck and wet his hair and parted it and brushed it down hard till it stuck to the top of his head, all but about 6 hairs that stood straight up. Avery put on clean underwear, clean blue jeans, and a clean shirt. Mr. Arable dressed, ate breakfast, and then went out and polished his truck. He had offered to drive everybody to the fair, including Wilbur. Bright and early, Lurvy put clean straw in Wilbur's crate and lifted it into the pig pen. The crate was green. In gold letters, it said, Zuckerman's Famous Pig. Charlott had her Webb looking fine for the occasion. Wilbur ate his breakfast slowly. He tried to look radiant without getting food in his ears. In the kitchen, Mrs. Zuckerman suddenly made an announcement. Homer, she said to her husband, I'm going to give that pig a buttermilk bath. A what? Said Mr. Zuckerman. A buttermilk bath. My grandmother used to bathe her pig with buttermilk when it got dirty. I just remembered. Wilbur's not dirty, said Mr. Zuckerman proudly. He's filthy behind the ears, said Mrs. Zuckerman. Every time Lurvy slops him, the food runs down around the ears. Then it dries and it forms a crust. He also has a smudge on one side where he lays in the manure. He lays in clean straw, corrected Mr. Zuckerman. Well, he's dirty, and he's going to have a bath. Mr. Zuckerman sat down weakly and ate a donut. His wife went to the woodshed. When she returned, she wore rubber boots and an old raincoat, and she carried a bucket of buttermilk and a small wooden paddle. Edith, you're crazy, muddled Zuckerman. But she paid no attention to him. Together they walked to the pig pen. Mrs. Zuckerman wasted no time. She climbed in with Wilbur and went to work. Dipping her paddle in the buttermilk, she rubbed him all over. The geese gathered round to see the fun, and so did the sheep and the lambs. Even Templeton poked his head out curiously to watch Wilbur get a buttermilk bath. Charlotte got so interested she lowered herself on a drag line so that she could see better. Wilbur stood still and closed his eyes. He could feel the buttermilk trickle down his sides. He opened his mouth and some buttermilk ran in. It was delicious. He felt radiant and happy. When Mrs. Zuckerman got through and rubbed him dry, he was the cleanest, prettiest pig you ever saw. He was pure white, pink around the ears and snout, and smooth as silk. The Zuckermans went to change into their best clothes. Lurvy went to shave and put on his plaid shirt and his purple necktie. The animals were left to themselves in the barn. The 7 goslings paraded round and round their mother. Please, please, please take us to the fair, begged a gosling. Then all 7 began teasing to go. Please, 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 please. They made quite the racket. Children, snapped the goose, we're staying quietly at home. Only Wilbur, Ilber is going to the fair. Just then Charlotte interrupted. I shall go too, she said softly. I've decided to go with Wilbur. He may need me. We can't tell what may happen at the fairgrounds. Somebody's got to go along who knows how to write. And I think Templeton better come too. I might need somebody to run errands and do general work. I'm staying right here, grumbled the rat. I haven't the slightest interest in fairs. That's because you've never been to one, remarked the old sheep. A fair is a rat's paradise. Everybody spills food at a fair. A rat can creep out late at night and have a feast. In the horse barn, you'll find oats that the trotters and pacers have spilled. In the trampled grass of the infield, you'll find old discarded lunch boxes containing the foul remains of peanut butter sandwiches, hard-boiled eggs, cracker crumbs, bits of donuts, and particles of cheese. In the hard-packed dirt of the midway, after the glaring lights are out and the people have gone home to bed, you will find a veritable treasure of popcorn fragments, frozen custard, dribblings, candied apples, abandoned by tired children, sugar fluff crystals, salted almonds, popsicles, partially gnawed ice cream cones, and the wooden sticks of lollipops. Everywhere is loot for a rat. In tents, in booths, in haylofts. Why, a fair has enough disgusting leftover food to satisfy a whole army of rats. Templeton's eyes were blazing. Is this true, he asked? Is this appetizing yarn of yours true? I like high living, and what you say tempts me. It is true, said the old sheep. Go to the fair, Templeton. You'll find that the conditions at the fair will surpass your wildest dreams. Buckets with sour mash sticking to them, tin cans containing particles of tuna fish, greasy paper bags stuffed with rotten... That's enough, cried Templeton. Don't tell me any more. I'm going. Good, said Charlotte, winking at the old sheep. Now then, there's no time to be lost. Wilbur will soon be put into the crate. Templeton and I must get in the crate right now and hide ourselves. The rat didn't waste a minute. He scampered over to the crate, crawled between the slats, and pulled straw up over him, so he was hidden from sight. "All right," said Charlotte, "I'm next." She sailed into the air, let out a dragline, and dropped gently to the ground. She then climbed to the side of the crate and hid herself inside a knothole on the top board. The old sheep nodded. "What a cargo," she said. "That sign ought to say Zuckerman's famous pig and 2 stowaways." "Look out, the people are coming, umming," shouted the gander. "Cheese it, cheese it, cheese it." The big truck with Mr. Arable at the wheel backed slowly down toward the barnyard. Lurvy and Mr. Zuckerman walked alongside. Fern and Avery were standing in the body of the truck, hanging on to the sideboards. "Listen to me," whispered the old sheep to Wilbur. "When they open the crate and try to put you in, struggle. Don't go without a tussle. Pigs always resist when they are being loaded." "If I struggle, I'll get dirty," said Wilbur. "Never mind that. Do as I say. Struggle. If you were to walk into the crate without resisting, Zuckerman might think you were bewitched. He'd be scared to go to the fair." Templeton poked his head up through the straw. "Struggle if you must," he said, "but kindly remember I'm hiding down here in this crate, and I don't want to be stepped on or kicked in the face or pummeled or crushed in any way or squashed or buffeted about or bruised or lacerated or scarred or biffed. Just watch what you're doing, Mr. Radiant, when they get shoving you in." "Be quiet, Templeton," said the sheep. "Pull in your head. They're coming. Look radiant, Wilbur. Lay low, Charlotte. Talk it up, geese." The truck backed slowly to the pig pen and stopped. Mr. Arable cut the motor, got out, walked around to the rear, and lowered the tailgate. The geese cheered. Mrs. Arable got out of the truck. Fern and Avery jumped to the ground. Mrs. Zuckerman came walking down from the house. Everybody lined up at the fence and stood for a moment admiring Wilbur and the beautiful green crate. Nobody realized that the crate already contained a rat and a spider. "That's some pig," said Mrs. Arable. "He's terrific," said Lurvy. "He's very radiant," said Fern, remembering the day he was born. "Well," said Mrs. Zuckerman, "he's clean anyway. The buttermilk certainly helped." Mr. Arable studied Wilbur carefully. "Yes, he's a wonderful pig," he said. "It's hard to believe that he was the runt of a litter. You'll get some extra good ham and bacon, Homer, when it comes time to kill that pig." Wilbur heard these words and his heart almost stopped. "I think I'm going to faint," he whispered to the old sheep who was watching. "Kneel down," whispered the old sheep. "Let the blood rush to your head." Wilbur sank to his knees, all radiance gone. His eyes closed. "Look," screamed Fern. "He's fading away." "Hey, watch me," yelled Avery, crawling on all fours into the crate. "I'm a pig! I'm a pig!" Avery's foot touched Templeton under the straw. What a mess, thought the rat. That's what fantastic creatures boys are. Why did I let myself in for this? The geese saw Avery in the crate and cheered. "Avery, you get out of the crate this instant," commanded his mother. "What do you think you are?" "I'm a pig," cried Avery, tossing handfuls of straw in the air. "Oink, oink, oink." "The truck is rolling away, Papa," said Fern. The truck, with no one at the wheel, had started to roll downhill. Mr. Arable dashed to the driver's seat. He pulled up the emergency brake. The truck stopped. The geese cheered. Charlotte crouched and made herself as small as possible in the knothole, so Avery wouldn't see her. "Come out at once," cried Mrs. Arable. Avery crawled out of the crate on hands and knees, making faces at Wilbur. Wilbur fainted away. "The pig has passed out," said Mrs. Zuckerman. Throw water on him." "Throw buttermilk," suggested Avery. The geese cheered. Lurvy ran for a pail of water. Fern climbed into the pen and knelt by Wilbur's side. "It's sunstroke," said Zuckerman. "The heat is too much for him." "Maybe he's dead," said Avery. "Come out of that pig pen immediately," cried Mrs. Arable. Avery obeyed his mother and climbed into the back of the truck so he could see better. Lurvy returned with cold water and dashed it on Wilbur. "Throw some on me," cried Avery. "I'm hot too." "Oh, keep quiet," hollered Fern. "Keep quiet." Her eyes were brimming with tears. Wilbur, feeling the cold water, came to. He rose slowly to his feet while the geese cheered. "He's up," said Mr. Arable. "I guess there's nothing wrong with him." "I'm hungry," said Avery. "I want a candied apple." "Wilbur's all right now," said Fern. "I want a candied apple." "Wilbur's all right now," said Fern. "We can start. I want to take a ride in the Ferris wheel." Mr. Zuckerman and Mr. Arable and Lurvy grabbed the pig and pushed him head first toward the crate. Wilbur began to struggle. The harder the men pushed, the harder he held back. Avery jumped down and joined the men. Wilbur kicked and thrashed and grunted. "Nothing wrong with this pig," said Mr. Zuckerman, cheerfully pressing his knee against Wilbur's behind. "All together now, boys. Shove." With a final heave, they jammed him into the crate. The geese cheered. Lurvy nailed some boards across the end so Wilbur couldn't back out. Then, using all their strength, the men picked up the crate and heaved it aboard the truck. They did not know that under the straw was a rat, and inside a knothole was a big gray spider. They only saw a pig. "Everybody in?" called Mr. Arable. He started the motor. The ladies climbed in behind him. Mr. Zuckerman and Lurvy and Fern and Avery rode in back, hanging on to the sideboards. The truck began to move ahead. The geese cheered. The children answered their cheer. And away went everyone to the fair. Chapter 17. Uncle. When they pulled into the fairgrounds, they could hear music and see the Ferris wheel turning in the sky. They could smell the dust of the racetrack where the sprinkled cart had moistened it, and they could smell hamburgers frying and see balloons aloft. They could hear sheep blatting in their pens. An enormous voice over the loudspeaker said, "Attention, please. Will the owner of a Pontiac car license number H2439 please move your car away from the fireworks shed?" "Can I have some money?" asked Fern. "Can I too?" asked Avery. "I'm going to win a doll by spinning a wheel and it will stop at the right number," said Fern. "I'm going to steer a jet plane and make it bump into another one." "Can I have a balloon?" asked Fern. "Can I have a frozen custard and a cheeseburger, some raspberry soda pop?" asked Avery. "You children be quiet till we get the pig unloaded," said Mrs. Arable. "Let's let the children go off by themselves," suggested Mr. Arable. "The fair only comes once a year." Mr. Arable gave Fern 2 quarters and 2 dimes. He gave Avery 5 dimes and 4 nickels. "Now run along," he said, "and remember the money has to last all day. Don't spend it all the first few minutes. And be here at the truck at noontime so that we can have lunch together. And don't eat a lot of stuff that's going to make you sick to your stomachs. And if you go in those swings," said Mrs. Arable, "you hang on tight. You hang on very tight. Hear me? And don't get lost," said Mrs. Zuckerman. "And don't get dirty." Don't get overheated, said their mother. Watch out for pickpockets, cautioned their father. And don't cross the racetrack when the horses are coming, cried Mrs. Zuckerman. The children grabbed each other by the hand and danced off in the direction of the merry-go-round, toward the wonderful music and wonderful adventure and the wonderful excitement, into the wonderful midway where there would be no parents to guard them and guide them, and where they could be happy and free to do as they please. Mrs. Arable stood quietly and watched them go. Then she sighed. Then she blew her nose. Do you really think it's all right? She asked. Well, we've got to grow up sometime, said Mrs. Arable. And a fair, it's a good place to start, I guess. While Wilbur was being unloaded and taken out of his crate and into his new pig pen, crowds gathered to watch. They stared at the sign, Zuckerman's Famous Pig. Wilbur stared back and tried to look extra good. He was pleased with his new home. The pen was grassy, and it was shaded from the sun by a shed roof. Charlotte, watching her chance, scrambled out of the crate and climbed to a post and underside of the roof. Nobody noticed her. Templeton, not wishing to come out in broad daylight, stayed quietly under the straw at the bottom of the crate. Mr. Zuckerman poured some skim milk into Wilbur's trough, pitched clean straw into his pen, and then he and Mrs. Zuckerman and the Arables walked away toward the cattle barn to look at purebred cows and see the sights. Mr. Zuckerman practically wanted to look at tractors, particularly wanted to look at tractors. Mrs. Zuckerman wanted to see a deep freeze. Lurvy wandered off by himself, hoping to meet friends and have some fun on the midway. As soon as the people were gone, Charlotte spoke to Wilbur. It's a good thing you can't see what I see, she said. What do you see? Asked Wilbur. There's a pig in the next pen, and he's enormous. I'm afraid he's much bigger than you are. Maybe he's older than I am and has had more time to grow, suggested Wilbur. Tears began to come to his eyes. I'll drop down and have a closer look, Charlotte said. Then she crawled along the beam till she was directly over the next pen. She let herself down on a dragline until she hung in the air, just in front of the big pig's snout. May I have your name? She asked politely. The pig stared at her. No name, he said in a big, hearty voice. Just call me Uncle. Very well, Uncle, replied Charlotte. What is the date of your birth? Are you a spring pig? Sure, I'm a spring pig, replied Uncle. What did you think I was? A spring chicken? Ha ha ha. That's a good one. Hey, sister. Mildly funny, said Charlotte. I've heard funnier ones, though. Glad to have met you. And now I must be going. She ascended slowly and returned to Wilbur's pen. He claims he's a spring pig, reported Charlotte. And perhaps he is. One thing is certain, he has a most unattractive personality. He is too familiar, too noisy, and he cracks weak jokes. Also, he's not anywhere near as clean as you are, nor as pleasant. I took quite a dislike to him in our brief interview. He's going to be a hard pig to beat, though, Wilbur, on account of his size and weight. But with me helping you, it can be done. When are you going to spin a web? Asked Wilbur. This afternoon, late, if I'm not too tired, said Charlotte. The least thing tires me these days. I don't seem to have the energy I once had. My age, I guess. Wilbur looked at his friend. She looked rather swollen and seemed listless. I'm awfully sorry to hear that you're feeling poorly, Charlotte, he said. Perhaps if you spin a web and catch a couple of flies, you'll feel better." "Perhaps," she said, wearily, "but I feel like the end of a long day." Clinging upside down to the ceiling, she settled down for a nap, leaving Wilbur very much worried. All morning, people wandered past Wilbur's pen. Dozens and dozens of strangers stopped to stare at him and to admire his silky white coat, his curly tail, and his kind and radiant expression. Then they would move on to the next pen where the bigger pig lay. Wilbur heard several people make favorable remarks about Uncle's great size. He couldn't help overhearing those remarks, and he couldn't help worrying. And now, with Charlott not feeling well, he thought, "Oh dear." All morning, Templeton slept under the straw. The day grew fiercely hot. At noon, the Zuckermans and the Arables returned to the pig pen. Then a few minutes later, Fern and Avery showed up. Fern had a monkey doll in her arms and was eating Cracker Jack. Avery had a balloon tied to his ear and was chewing a candied apple. The children were hot and dirty. "Isn't it hot?" said Mrs. Zuckerman. "It's terribly hot," said Mrs. Arable, fanning herself with an advertisement of a deep freeze. One by one, they climbed into the truck and opened lunch boxes. The sun beat down on everything. Nobody seemed hungry. "When are the judges going to decide about Wilbur?" asked Mrs. Zuckerman. "Not till tomorrow," said Mr. Zuckerman. Lurvy appeared, carrying an Indian blanket that he had won. "That's just what we need," said Avery. "That's just what we need," said Avery. "A blanket." "Of course it is," replied Lurvy, and he spread the blanket across the sideboards of the truck so that it was like a little tent. The children sat in the shade under the blanket and felt better. After lunch, they stretched out and fell asleep. I have to stand up for a minute, y'all. Forgive me. It was leg day. The cool of the evening. In the cool of the evening, when shadows darkened the fairgrounds, Templeton crept from the crate and looked around. Wilbur lay asleep in the straw. Charlott was building a web. Templeton's keen nose detected many fine smells in the air. The rat was hungry and thirsty. He decided to go exploring. Without saying anything to anybody, he started off. "Bring me back a word," Charlott called after him. "I shall be writing tonight for the last time." The rat mumbled something to himself and disappeared into the shadows. He did not like being treated like a messenger boy. After the heat of the day, the evening came as a welcome relief to all. The Ferris wheel was lighted now. It went round and round in the sky and seemed twice as high as by day. There were lights on the midway, and you could hear the crackle of the gambling machines, and the music of the merry-go-round, and the voice of the man in the Beano booth calling numbers. The children felt refreshed after their nap. Fern met her friend Henry Fussy, and he invited her to ride with him in the Ferris wheel. He even bought a ticket for her, so it didn't cost her anything. When Mrs. Arable happened to look up into the starry sky and saw her little daughter sitting with Henry Fussy and going higher and higher into the air, and saw how happy Fern looked. She just shook her head. My, she said. Henry Fussy. Think of that. Templeton kept out of sight. In the tall grass behind the cattle barn, he found a folded newspaper. Inside it were leftovers from somebody's lunch. A deviled ham sandwich, a piece of Swiss cheese, part of a hard-boiled egg, and the core of a wormy apple. The rat crawled in and ate everything. Then he tore a word out of the paper, rolled it up, and started back to Wilbur's pen. Charlotte had her web almost finished when Templeton returned, carrying the newspaper clipping. She had left a space in the middle of the web. At this hour, no people were around the pig pen, so the rat and the spider and the pig were by themselves. I hope you brought a good one, Charlotte said. It is the last word I shall ever write. Here, said Templeton, unrolling the paper. What does it say? Asked Charlotte. You'll have to read it for me. It says humble, replied the rat. Humble, said Charlotte. Humble has two meanings. It means not proud, and it means near the ground. That's Wilbur all over. He's not proud, and he's near the ground. Well, I hope you're satisfied, sneered the rat. I'm not going to spend all my time fetching and carrying. I came to this fair to enjoy myself, not to deliver papers. You've been very helpful, Charlotte said. Run along if you want to see more of the fair. The rat grinned. I'm going to make a night of it, he said. The old sheep was right. This fair is a rat's paradise. What eating and what drinking, and everywhere good hiding and good hunting. Bye-bye, my humble Wilbur. Fare thee well, Charlotte, you old schemer. This will be a night to remember in a rat's life. He vanished into the shadows. Charlotte went back to her work. It was quite dark now. In the distance, fireworks began going off, rockets scattering fiery balls in the sky. And by the time the Arables and Zuckermans and Lurvies returned from the grandstand, Charlotte had finished her web. The word humble was woven neatly into the center. Nobody noticed it in the darkness. Everyone was tired and happy. Fern and Avery climbed into the truck and lay down. They pulled the Indian blanket over them. Lurvy gave Wilbur a forkful of fresh straw. Mr. Arable patted him. Time for us to go home, he said to the pig. We'll see you tomorrow. The grown-ups climbed into the truck, and Wilbur heard the engine start, and then heard the truck moving away in low speed. He would have felt lonely and homesick had Charlotte not been with him. He never felt lonely when she was near. In the distance, he could still hear the music of the merry-go-round. He was dropping off to sleep, and he spoke to Charlotte. Sing me that song again, about the dung in the dark, he begged. Not tonight, she said in a low voice. I'm too tired. Her voice didn't seem to come from her web. Where are you? Asked Wilbur. I can't see you. Are you on your web? I'm back here, she answered. Up in this back corner. Why aren't you on your web? Asked Wilbur. You almost never leave your web. I've left it tonight, she said. Wilbur closed his eyes. Charlotte, he said, after a while, do you really think Zuckerman will let me live and not kill me when the cold weather comes? Do you really think so? Of course, said Charlotte. You're a famous pig, and you're a good pig. Tomorrow, you will probably win a prize. The whole world will hear about you. Zuckerman will be proud and happy to own such a pig. You have nothing to fear, Wilbur, nothing to worry about. Maybe you'll live forever. Who knows? And now, go to sleep. For a while, there was no sound. Then Wilbur's voice. What are you doing up there, Charlotte? Oh, making something, she said. Making something as usual. Is it something for me? Asked Wilbur. No, said Charlotte. It's something for me, for a change. Please tell me what it is, begged Wilbur. I'll tell you in the morning, she said, when the first light comes into the sky, and the sparrows stir, and the cows rattle their chains, and the rooster crows, and the stars fade. When early cars whisper along the highway, you look up here, and I'll show you something. I will show you my masterpiece. Before she finished the sentence, Wilbur was asleep. She could tell by the sound of his breathing that he was sleeping peacefully, deep in the straw. Miles away at the arable's house, the men sat around the kitchen table eating a dish of canned peaches and talking over the events of the day. Upstairs, Avery was already in bed and asleep. Mrs. Arable was tucking Fern into bed. Did you have a good time at the fair? She asked as she kissed her daughter. Fern nodded. I had the best time I have ever had anywhere or any time in all of my whole life. Well, said Mrs. Arable, isn't that nice? Chapter 19. The Egg Sack. Next morning, when the first light came into the sky and the sparrows stirred in the trees, when the cows rattled their chains and the rooster crowed, and the early automobiles went whispering along the road, Wilbur awoke and looked for Charlotte. He saw her up overhead in a corner near the back of his pen. She was very quiet. Her 8 legs were spread wide. She seemed to have shrunk during the night. Next to her, attached to the ceiling, Wilbur saw a curious object. It was a sort of sack or cocoon. It was peach-colored and looked as though it were made of cotton candy. Are you awake, Charlotte? He said softly. Yes, came the answer. What is that nifty little thing? Did you make it? I did indeed, replied Charlotte in a weak voice. Is it a plaything? Plaything? I should say not. It's my egg sack. My magnum opus. I don't know what a magnum opus is, said Wilbur. That's Latin, explained Charlotte. It means great work. This egg sack is my great work, the finest thing I've ever made. What's inside it? Asked Wilbur. Eggs? 514 of them, she replied. 514? said Wilbur. You're kidding. No, I'm not. I counted them. I got started counting, so I kept on, just to keep my mind occupied. It's a perfectly beautiful egg sack, said Wilbur, feeling happy as though he had constructed it himself. Yes, it is pretty, replied Charlotte, patting the sack with her front 2 legs. Anyway, I can guarantee that it is strong. It's made out of the toughest material I have, and it is also waterproof. The eggs are inside and will be warm and dry. Charlotte, said Wilbur dreamily, are you really going to have 514 children? If nothing happens, yes, she said. Of course they won't show up till next spring. Wilbur noticed that Charlotte's voice sounded sad. What makes you so downhearted? I should think you'd be terribly happy about this. Oh, don't pay any attention to me, said Charlotte. I just don't have much pep anymore. I guess I feel sad because I won't ever see my children. What do you mean you won't see your children? Of course you will. We'll all see them. It's going to be simply wonderful next spring in the barn with 514 baby spiders running around all over the place. And the geese will have a new set of goslings, and the sheep will have their new lambs. Maybe, said Charlotte quietly. However, I have a feeling I'm not going to see the results of last night's efforts. I don't feel so good at all. I think I'm languishing, to tell you the truth. Wilbur didn't understand the word languish, and hated to bother Charlotte by asking her to explain, but he was so worried he felt he had to ask. What does languishing mean? It means I'm slowing up, feeling my age. I'm not young anymore, Wilbur. But I don't want you to worry about me. This is your big day today. Look at my web. Doesn't it show up well with the dew on it? Charlotte's web never looked more beautiful than it looked this morning. Each strand held dozens of bright drops of early morning dew. The light came from the east and struck it and made it all plain and clear. It was a perfect piece of designing and building. In another hour or two, a steady stream of people would pass by, admiring it and reading it and looking at Wilbur and marveling at the miracle. As Wilbur was studying the web, a pair of whiskers and a sharp face appeared. Slowly, Templeton dragged himself across the pen and threw himself down in the corner. I'm back, he said in a husky voice. What a night. The rat was swollen to twice his normal size. His stomach was as big round as a jelly jar. What a night, he repeated hoarsely. What feasting and carousing, a real gorge. I must have eaten the remains of 30 lunches. Never have I seen such leavings, and everything well ripened and seasoned with the passage of time and the heat of the day. Oh, it was rich, my friends, rich. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, said Charlotte in disgust. It would serve you right if you had an acute attack of indigestion. Don't worry about my stomach, snarled Templeton. I can handle anything. And by the way, I've got some bad news. As I came past the pig next door, the one that calls himself Uncle, I noticed a blue tag on the front of his pen. That means he's won first prize. I guess we're licked, Wilbur. You might as well relax. Nobody is going to hang any medal on you. Furthermore, I wouldn't be surprised if Zuckerman changes his mind about you. Wait till he gets his hankering for some fresh pork and smoked ham and crisp bacon. He'll take the knife to you, my boy. Be still, Templeton, said Charlotte. You're too stuffed and bloated to know what you are saying. Don't pay attention to him, Wilbur. Wilbur tried not to think about what the rat had just said. He decided to change the subject. Templeton, said Wilbur, if you weren't so dopey, you would have noticed that Charlotte has made an egg sack. She's going to become a mother. For your information, there are 514 eggs in that peachy little sack. Is this true? Asked the rat, eyeing the sack suspiciously. Yes, it's true, sighed Charlotte. Congratulations, murmured Templeton. This has been a night. He closed his eyes, pulled some straw over himself, and dropped off into a deep sleep. Wilbur and Charlotte were glad to be rid of him for a while. At 9 o'clock, Mr. Arable's truck rolled into the fairgrounds and came to stop at Wilbur's pen. Everybody climbed out. Look, cried Fern. Look at Charlotte's Webb. Look what it says. The grown-ups and the children joined hands and stood there, studying the new sign. Humble, said Mr. Zuckerman. Now, isn't that just the word for Wilbur? Everyone would rejoice to find that the miracle of the web had been repeated. Wilbur gazed up lovingly into their faces. He looked very humble and very grateful. Fern winked at Charlotte. Lurvy soon got busy. He poured a bucket of warm slops into the trough. And while Wilbur ate his breakfast, Lurvy scratched him gently with a smooth stick. Wait a minute, cried Avery. Look at this. He pointed to the blue tag on Uncle's pen. This pig has won first prize already. The Zuckermans and the Arables stared at the tag. Mrs. Zuckerman began to cry. Nobody said a word. They just stared at the tag. Then they stared at Uncle. Then they stared at the tag again. Lurvy took out an enormous handkerchief and blew his nose very loud. So loud, in fact, that the noise was heard by the stable boys over at the horse barn. Can I save some money? Asked Fern. I want to go out on the midway. You stay right where you are, said her mother. Tears came to Fern's eyes. What's everybody crying about? Asked Mr. Zuckerman. Let's get busy. Edith, bring the buttermilk. Mrs. Zuckerman wiped her eyes with her handkerchief. She went to the truck and came back with a gallon jar of buttermilk. Bath time, said Zuckerman cheerfully. He and Mrs. Zuckerman and Avery climbed into Wilbur's pen. Avery slowly poured the buttermilk on Wilbur's head and back as it trickled down his sides and cheeks. Mr. and Mrs. Zuckerman rubbed it into his hair and skin. Passers-by stopped to watch. Pretty soon, quite a crowd had gathered. Wilbur grew beautifully white and smooth. The morning sun shone through his pink ears. He isn't as big as that pig next door, remarked one bystander, but he's cleaner. That's what I like. So do I, said another man. He's humble, too, said a woman, reading the sign on the web. Everybody who visited the pig pen had a good word to say about Wilbur. Everyone admired the web, and of course, nobody noticed Charlotte. Suddenly a voice was heard on the loudspeaker. Attention, please, it said. Will Mr. Homer Zuckerman bring his famous pig to the judge's booth in front of the grandstand? A special award will be made there in 20 minutes. Everyone is invited to attend. Crate your pig, please, Mr. Zuckerman, and report to the judge's booth promptly. For a moment after this announcement, the Arables and Charlotte were unable to speak or move. Then Avery picked up a handful of straw and threw it high in the air and gave a loud yell. The straw fluttered down like confetti into Fern's hair. Mr. Zuckerman hugged Mrs. Zuckerman. Mr. Arable kissed Mrs. Arable. Avery kissed Wilbur. Lurvy shook hands with everybody. Fern hugged her mother. Avery hugged Fern. Mrs. Arable hugged Mrs. Zuckerman. Up overhead, in the shadows of the ceiling, Charlotte crouched unseen, her front legs encircling her egg sac. Her heart was not beating as strongly as usual, and she felt weary and old. But she was sure at last she had saved Wilbur's life, and she felt peaceful and contented. "We have no time to lose," shouted Mr. Zuckerman. "Lurvy, help with the crate." "Can I have some money?" asked Fern. "You wait," said Mrs. Arable. "Can't you see everybody is busy?" "Put that empty buttermilk jar into the truck," commanded Mr. Arable. Avery grabbed the jar and rushed to the truck. "Does my hair look all right?" said Mrs. Zuckerman. "Looks fine," snapped Mr. Zuckerman, and he and Lurvy set the crate down in front of Wilbur. "You didn't even look at my hair," said Mrs. Zuckerman. "You're all right, Edith," said Mrs. Arable. "Just keep calm." Templeton, asleep in the straw, heard the commotion and awoke. He didn't know exactly what was going on, but when he saw the men shoving Wilbur into the crate, he made up his mind to go along. He watched his chance, and when no one was looking, he crept into the crate and buried himself in the straw at the bottom. "All ready, boys," cried Mr. Zuckerman. "Let's go." He and Mr. Arable and Lurvy and Avery grabbed the crate and boosted it over the side of the pen and up into the truck. Fern jumped aboard and sat on top of the crate. She still had straw in her hair and looked very pretty and excited. Mr. Arable started the motor. Everyone climbed in, and off they drove to the judge's booth in front of the grandstand. As they passed the Ferris wheel, Fern gazed up at it and wished she were in the topmost car with Henry Fussy by her side. Chapter 20, the last one of the evening. The hour of triumph. "Special announcement," said the loudspeaker in a pompous voice. "The management of the fair takes great pleasure in presenting Mr. Homer L. Zuckerman and his famous pig. The truck bearing this extraordinary animal is now approaching the infield. Kindly stand back and give the truck room to proceed." In a few moments, the pig will be unloaded in the special judging ring in front of the grandstand, where a special award will be made. Will the crowd please make way and let the truck pass? Thank you. Wilbur trembled when he heard this speech. He felt happy, but dizzy. The truck crept along in a low speed. Crowds of people surrounded it, and Mr. Arable had to drive very carefully in order not to run over anybody. At last, he managed to reach the judge's stand. Avery jumped out and lowered the tailgate. "I'm scared to death," whispered Mrs. Zuckerman. "Hundreds of people are looking at us." "Cheer up," replied Mrs. Arable. "This is fun." "Unload your pig, please," said the loudspeaker. "All together now, boys," said Mr. Zuckerman. Several men stepped forward from the crowd to help lift the crate. Avery was the busiest helper of all. "Tuck your shirt in, Avery," cried Mrs. Zuckerman, "and tighten your belt. Your pants are coming down." "Can't you see I'm busy?" replied Avery in disgust. "Look," cried Fern, pointing. "There's Henry." "Don't shout, Fern," said her mother, "and don't point." "Can't I please have some money?" asked Fern. "Henry invited me to go on the Ferris wheel again, Only I don't think he has any money left. He ran out of money. Mrs. Arable opened her handbag. Here, she said, here is 40 cents. Now don't get lost and be back at our regular meeting place by the pig pen very soon. Fern raced off, ducking and dodging through the crowd and in search of Henry. The Zuckerman pig is now being taken from his crate, boomed the voice of the loudspeaker. Stand by for an announcement. Templeton crouched under the straw at the bottom of the crate. What a lot of nonsense, he muttered. What a lot of fuss about nothing. Over in the pig pen, silent and alone, Charlotte rested. Her two front legs embraced the egg sack. Charlotte could hear everything that was being said on the loudspeaker. The words gave her courage. This was her hour of triumph. As Wilbur came out of the crate, the crowd clapped and cheered. Mr. Zuckerman took off his cap and bowed. Lurvy pulled his big handkerchief from his pocket and wiped the sweat from the back of his neck. Avery knelt in the dirt by Wilbur's side, busily stroking him and showing off. Mrs. Zuckerman and Mrs. Arable stood on the running board of the truck. Ladies and gentlemen, said the loudspeaker, we now present Mr. Homer L. Zuckerman's distinguished pig. The fame of this unique animal has spread to the far corners of the earth, attracting many valuable tourists to our great state. Many of you will recall that never-to-be-forgotten day last summer when the writing appeared mysteriously on the spider's web in Mr. Zuckerman's barn, calling the attention of all sundry to the fact that this pig was completely out of the ordinary. This miracle has never been fully explained. Although learned men have visited the Zuckerman's pig pen to study and observe the phenomenon. In the last analysis, we simply know that we are dealing with supernatural forces here, and we should all feel proud and grateful. In the words of the spider's web, ladies and gentlemen, this is some pig. Wilbur blushed. He stood perfectly still and tried to look his best. This magnificent animal, continued the loudspeaker, is truly terrific. Look at him, ladies and gentlemen. Now the smoothness and whiteness of the coat. Observe the spotless skin and healthy pink glow of ears and snout. It's the buttermilk, whispered Mrs. Arable to Mrs. Zuckerman. Note the great radiance of this animal. Then remember the day when the word radiant appeared clearly on the web. Whence came this mysterious writing? Not from the spider. We can rest assured of that. Spiders are very clever weaving their webs, but needless to say, spiders cannot write. Oh, they can't they? Murmured Charlotte to herself. Ladies and gentlemen, continued the loudspeaker, I must not take any more of your valuable time. On behalf of the governance of the fair, I have the honor of awarding a special prize of $25 to Mr. Zuckerman, together with a handsome bronze medal suitably engraved in token of appreciation of the part played by this pig, this radiant, this terrific, this humble pig, in attracting so many visitors to our great county fair. Wilbur had been feeling dizzier and dizzier through this long complimentary speech. When he heard the crowd begin to cheer and clap again, he suddenly fainted away. His legs collapsed, his mind went blank, and he fell to the ground unconscious. What's wrong? Asked the loudspeaker. What's going on with Zuckerman? What's the trouble with your pig? Avery was kneeling by Wilbur's head, stroking him. Mr. Zuckerman was dancing about, fanning him with his cap. He's all right, cried Mr. Zuckerman. He gets these spells. He's modest and can't stand praise. Well, we can't give a prize to a dead pig, said the loudspeaker. It's never been done. He isn't dead, hollered Zuckerman. He's fainted. He gets embarrassed easy. Run for some water, Lurvy. Lurvy sprang from the judge's ring and disappeared. Templeton poked his head from the straw. He noticed that the end of Wilbur's tail was within reach. Templeton grinned. Templeton grinned. I'll tend to this, he chuckled. He took Wilbur's tail in his mouth and bit it, just as hard as he could bite. The pain revived Wilbur. In a flash, he was back on his feet. Ouch, he screamed. Hooray, yelled the crowd. He's up. The pig's up. Good work, Zuckerman. That's some pig. Everyone was delighted. Mr. Zuckerman was the most pleased of all. He sighed with relief. Nobody had seen Templeton the rat had done his work well. And now, one of the judges climbed into the ring with the prizes. He handed Mr. Zuckerman 2 $10 bills and a $5 bill. Then he tied the medal around Wilbur's neck. Then he shook hands with Mr. Zuckerman while Wilbur blushed. Avery put out his hand, and the judge shook hands with him. The crowd cheered. A photographer took Wilbur's picture. A great feeling of happiness swept over the Zuckermans and the Arables. This was the greatest moment in the Zuckerman's life. It is deeply satisfying to win a prize in front of a lot of people. As Wilbur was being shoved back into the crate, Lurvy came charging through the crowd, carrying a pail of water. His eyes had a wild look. Without hesitating a second, he dashed the water over at Wilbur. In his excitement, he missed his aim, and the water splashed all over Mr. Zuckerman and Avery instead. They got soaking wet. For goodness sake, bellowed Mr. Zuckerman, who was really drenched. What ails you, Lurvy? Can't you see the pig is right here? You asked for water, said Lurvy meekly. I didn't ask for a shower bath, said Zuckerman. The crowd roared with laughter. Finally, Mr. Zuckerman had to laugh too. And of course, Avery was tickled to find himself so wet. And he immediately started to act like a clown. He pretended he was taking a shower bath and made faces and danced around and rubbed imaginary soap under his armpits. Then he dried himself with an imaginary towel. Avery, stop it, cried his mother. Stop showing off. But the crowd loved it. Avery heard nothing but the applause. He liked being a clown in a ring. With everybody watching in front of a grandstand, when he disappeared, there was still a little water left in the bottom of the pail. He raised the pail high in the air and dumped the water on himself and made faces. The children in the grandstand screamed with appreciation. At last, things calmed down. Wilbur was loaded into the truck. Avery was led from the ring by his mother and placed on a seat of the truck to dry off. The truck, driven by Mr. Arable, crawled slowly back to the pig pen. Avery's wet trousers made a big wet spot on the seat. That is it for the evening. Not much left, y'all. That made you so sleepy? Good. Thanks, Priest. Thanks, Killer Queen. Thanks, Beatable. Because I'm so scared for the ending. You and me both. You and me both. Carlos, thank you. Excuse me. That was a lot of words. Yep, we're all going to be sobbing. There is no doubt about that. Hello. Lydia? How are you? Malta, you fell asleep? Well, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. For you? Good night, Malty. Yep. Different angle. Standing up. Yay. And you dropped your phone on your face, Kathy. All right, y'all. Whoop. In the dark. Priest, you were expecting this. Yes. Yay. With that, it is time for me to say good night. Y'all, you've drank 5 bottles of water, Kraus. Good for you. Good night, everybody. Sleep well.